What's up, y'all? Welcome back to ZayMoolaSportsPodcast. I'm your host, Isaiah. And tonight, y'all, I'm here to give y'all my 2024 NFL season predictions, including my record predictions for every single team, my Super Bowl winner, my MVP winner, my offensive and defensive player of the year, and more, y'all. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. How's everyone doing? Hope you are doing well. I see I already got a comment coming in. Let me see. New intro was fired. Thank you. Yeah, this is gonna be my permanent intro because I like it too. All right, so let's get into it, y'all. Let's start with these record predictions, and I want to start in the AFC. So let's start with my division, y'all, the AFC South, and I have the Houston Texans winning the AFC South, having a record of 11-6. And y'all, I mean, I have to be honest, as a Titans fan, man, the Houston Texans are absolutely stacked, y'all. Man, we know what they did last year. C.J. Stroud, D'Amico Ryans, Will Anderson Jr. led that team to a surprise playoff run. They won the AFC South last year, y'all, and I think they're going to do it again this year. I mean, think about what they did during the offseason, man. Trading for Stephon Diggs, signing Danielle Hunter, y'all. I mean, and then also trading for Joe Mixon. This team is absolutely loaded on both sides of the ball. Now, I do kind of have some concern about their run defense because that was a problem last year, and I don't think they did a lot to address it. But y'all, I mean, they just have, I mean, everything you would want a Super Bowl contender to have, right? An elite quarterback, really solid run game, elite wide receivers, y'all. Two stud pass rushers in Danielle Hunter, Will Anderson Jr., a really great ascending corner, and Derek Stingley, a solid safety, and Jalen Petrie. I mean, this team is just stacked across the board. So I have to have the Texans, winning this division. Y'all in second place though, I have my Tennessee Titans. Yes, I was making the playoffs at 10-7, y'all. And I really do believe that Tennessee Titans are going to shock a lot of people. And I'm not just saying it because I'm a Titans fan, but y'all, you look at what the Titans have added. I mean, Legere Sneed, Calvary, Cheeto Bayawuze, Ernest Jones, Kenneth Murray, Tavondre Sweat, J.C. Latham, Tyler Boyd, Tony Pollard. I mean, they have added a lot of pieces to really bolster that team, y'all. Talk about last year, the Tennessee Titans won 6 games, and they really could have won 9 or 10 games because there was about 4 games, y'all, that would have been wins with this current roster. But the reason they were not able to win some of those games last year is because why? The roster was just not up to snuff. But this year, because the roster is up to snuff, y'all, I expect a massive leap from the Tennessee Titans. I know some people think the Tennessee Titans are going to win like 4 or 5 games. I just don't see how in the world that can happen, y'all. Considering we won 6 games last year with a pretty bad roster. Now we have, I would say, at least a top 15 roster in the NFL. So I think it's going to pay off with a playoff berth and winning 10 games. All right, y'all, coming in third place, I have the Jacksonville Jaguars finishing 9-8. And I know Jaguars fans are not going to like this because this is literally the same record they've had the last 2 seasons. But y'all, I think first off, the AFC South has gotten a whole lot better. You know, you look at a couple years ago when the Jaguars won this division at 9-8. The Texans were not good. The Colts were not good. And my Tennessee Titans that year, we collapsed at the end of the season, losing 7 straight games. But now, y'all, this AFC is pretty competitive. And I just don't think the Jacksonville Jaguars did enough to really make a massive improvement. You know, take that next step, y'all. I mean, obviously, they drafted Brian Thomas Jr. Y'all know I'm a huge fan of Brian Thomas Jr. They bring back Evan Ingram, Travis Etienne at running back, Christian Kirk, is their number 2 wide receiver. They also signed Gabe Davis, y'all. And then on the defensive side of things, they signed Eric Armstead, former defensive end for the San Francisco 49ers, But y'all, I just don't feel like those moves really are going to lead to Jacksonville Jaguars being a playoff contender. Like, they'll be in the hunt, but I just don't think the Jacksonville Jaguars did enough. I have serious questions, y'all, about that secondary. Okay, you look at their number 2 corner right now is Ronald Darby. Now, Ronald Darby, he had a pretty solid season for the Baltimore Ravens last year, but I would not be expecting Ronald Darby to repeat that, y'all, because he's been, very inconsistent throughout his career. So I don't love their secondary. And then offensively, y'all, they still have some question marks about their offensive line, particularly that right side. So I just think the Jacksonville Jaguars, again, they'll be solid. Like 9-8 is not a bad team, but you're just kind of, in the middle. You're an above average team. And I think that's what they'll be again. And then y'all in fourth and final place, I have the Indianapolis Colts finishing 7-10. And y'all, I just don't think the Colts are going to live up to the hype. I know some people that think the Colts are a Super Bowl contender, which I think is just totally ridiculous. But I could see why some people think the Colts could at least be a playoff team. Now, Super Bowl stuff, I don't see that at all. I can see why you would think the Colts could be a playoff team. I mean, Anthony Richardson, he's back and healthy. Jonathan Taylor, y'all, at the end of last season, he started to look like his old self. Then you look at what they added at wide receiver in the second round. They drafted A.D. Mitchell to pair alongside Josh Downs and Michael Pittman Jr. And then on defense, man, they got Grover Stewart. They got Taquan Lewis, DeForest Buckner. They drafted Leai Latu, Kenny Moore the second. But y'all, one, their secondary is really weak. Okay, I like Juju Brisk, their rookie corner that they drafted last year, but he did have a lot of struggles. Let's see what he can do this year. Jalen Jones, y'all, who's a third year corner, he didn't play too well. So I really have kind of similar to the Jaguars. I have major concerns about the Colts secondary as a whole. Again, I like Kenny Moore, but outside of him, don't really love it. And then y'all, will the Colts be able to keep Anthony Richardson healthy, right? Because let's be honest, the last, couple of years, while the Colts offensive line has still been solid, it's not been like that dominant group that they were back in 2018, 19, and 20. Okay, I feel like they're good now, but they're not elite. And we know Anthony Richardson, y'all. I mean, he is what? He's a run first quarterback. And so I just worry that he might get injured, and then the coach just not being able to slow down, prolific passing offenses in the NFL. Like, I really think y'all, the Colts are going to struggle. I think they're going to have one of the worst passing defenses in the league. Last year they had one of the worst. I could see this year potentially them having the worst. I'm not going to go that far and predict that, but they will definitely have a bottom five passing defense in the league, y'all. Their secondary needs major work. I'm really surprised their GM Chris Ballard, he did not address this during free agency and during the draft. But y'all, their secondary, I just don't love it. And because of that, I think the Colts are only going to win 7 games. All right, y'all, let's move to the AFC North. And I have the Baltimore Ravens winning this division yet again with a record of 12-5. And I know some people feel like the Baltimore Ravens are going to fall off a little bit, because they lost Patrick Queen and Geno Stone in free agency. They also lost, Denard Wilson, their defensive back coach. They also lost Mike McDonald, their former defensive coordinator. And some people just think all those losses are going to lead to the Baltimore Ravens missing the playoffs. But y'all, they got Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry in the backfield, and man, they are going to cause a ton of problems for defenses. Because here's the thing, y'all, even though in today's NFL, you have to have, a pretty good passing game to win games. The Baltimore Ravens have shown, hey, we're going to zig and zag a little bit. While other teams, they're throwing the ball 40, 50 times, we're going to be running the ball 35, 40 times because we got Lamar Jackson, one of the most athletic quarterbacks in NFL history, y'all. We got Derrick Henry, who's still a monster, okay? Derrick Henry playing for a bad Tennessee Titans team, y'all, nearly had 1,200 yards last year and 12 touchdowns. So this man is still King Henry. I cannot wait to see what him and Lamar Jackson do. Is a nice 1-2 punch duo in the running game. And then when Keaton Mitchell, y'all, who's their rookie last year, when he comes back, he brings a certain level of speed and explosiveness to their running game. And then I think Rashad Bateman's going to have a really solid year. We know Zay Flowers, he had a really great rookie season last year. So I think the Baltimore Ravens, y'all, they still have a very strong team. Yes, I know, again, they did lose a lot of pieces in free agency. They also lost Davion Clowney. They also lost Morgan Moses and John Simpson, right? But the Baltimore Ravens, y'all, this is still a strong team, and I think they're going to have the best record in the AFC North. All right, y'all, in second place, I have the Cincinnati Bengals winning 11 games. And, y'all, this is really dependent on if Joe Burrow can stay healthy. Because when Joe Burrow is healthy, the Cincinnati Bengals are one of the best teams in the AFC. They're one of the best teams in the NFL. When Joe Burrow is not healthy, y'all, they're, kind of an average team. So if Joe Burrow can stay healthy, I expect the Cincinnati Bengals to be right back in the playoffs, y'all. Win 11 games. They could win the division, but I had to give it to the Baltimore Ravens. But the Cincinnati Bengals, y'all, I'm telling you, if Joe Burrow stays healthy, Jamar Chase, hopefully they get a contract extension done with him soon. But you still have him and T. Higgins on the outside at wide receiver, y'all. And then that defense, listen, I know, they lost Cheeto Bay Awuzie and DJ Reader. but I really love some of the young players that they have on their defense, y'all, particularly in their secondary with like DJ Turner and Jordan Battle. So I expect those guys to have pretty big years, and also Cam Taylor-Britt. So I need the Cincinnati Bengals, y'all. Again, if Joe Burrow stays healthy, they'll be one of the best teams in the NFL. All right, y'all, coming in third place, I had the Cleveland Browns going 10-7. And last year the Browns went 11-6. So I just think they have one extra loss this year. But y'all, it's going to be very tough for the Cleveland Browns this year because the AFC is better. Like, let's be honest, the AFC is better, right? There's some teams, y'all, that missed the playoffs last year that weren't particularly good that we expect to take a big leap. And I think for the Cleveland Browns, everything comes down to Deshaun Watson because I really love their roster. I mean, talking about last year, y'all, they had the best defense in the NFL, led by Myles Garrett. You look at that secondary, man, they have three aces at corner, y'all. You talk about having Greg Newsome, Martin Emerson Jr., and Denzel Ward. I mean, they got Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah at linebacker. I really love the Browns' defense. And then offensively, they got Amari Cooper, David Njoku, a really great offensive line. They also bringing in Jerry Jeudy, y'all. I mean, I love Elijah Moore. It's going to be their slot wide receiver. I really love what the Browns have in terms of an overall roster standpoint, but it really comes down to can Deshaun Watson, y'all, at least be a average quarterback, okay? Because if the Browns get average quarterback play, I think they're going to be a Super Bowl contender. But, y'all, I just don't know what to expect from Deshaun Watson because we have not seen Deshaun Watson play at a high level in going on 4 years now. I mean, it's been a long time ago, y'all. The NFL, you got to consistently update your resume. I know, 4 or 5 years ago, Deshaun Watson was seen as a top 3, top 5 quarterback in the NFL, but he has not shown himself to be that guy, since then. And so I need to see it before I believe it, y'all. Again, if Deshaun Watson just gives them average quarterback play, I think this team not only goes to the playoffs, y'all, but I really think they are serious Super Bowl contenders because that roster is just very well put together. Shout out to Andrew Berry, the job he did, y'all. I mean, they really don't have any glaring weaknesses on their roster because that's just how well-rounded it is. But I think the Cleveland Browns come in third place at 10-7, and then y'all in fourth and final place. Steelers fans, you might want to close your eyes, man, and cover your ears because I have y'all finishing 8-9, y'all. And I just really think when you look at the Pittsburgh Steelers, I mean, listen, will they be a bad team? Absolutely not. Because look at that defense, man. TJ Watt, y'all. I think he's the best defensive player in football. You still got Cam Hayward, and they signed Cam Hayward to a 3-year, $45 million contract extension on yesterday. You have a young guy, Keanu Benton, who I really like, Joey Porter Jr., man. He looks like he's going to be the next big thing at cornerback. You got Micah Fitzpatrick, who's a top 5 safety in the NFL. You bring in Patrick Queen to be your new leader in that middle linebacker room. So I love what they have defensively. But offensively, y'all, obviously I have major question marks, particularly at the quarterback position. Russell Wilson was not bad last year, right? He threw 26 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. But y'all, I just don't think he's gonna do enough to be able to really elevate this Steelers team. And then you look at that wide receiver core. I mean, George Pickens is a dog. I think he's gonna make the Pro Bowl this year. But outside of him, y'all, you got Van Jefferson. Let's be honest, Van Jefferson has not been a productive player since 2021. Roman Wilson, he's a rookie. Scotty Miller, y'all, he's like, let's be honest, Scotty Miller's like a fourth, fifth wide receiver. I mean, this receiver core is really weak. And so even though I like their tight ends, Darnell Washington and Pat Freiermuth, I don't love the receiving core outside of George Pickens. And because, again, y'all, because I don't think Russell Wilson is going to be able to elevate that talent, I think the Steelers, y'all, just going to be a middling team, right? I had them finishing, again, 8-9, one game under 500. They won't be good. They won't be bad. They'll just be in the middle. All right, y'all, let's move on to the AFC West. And the AFC West, I'm not going to spend too much time talking about this because we know who the kings of this division is. And it's it's the Kansas City Chiefs. I almost said the Cincinnati Bengals. It's the Kansas City Chiefs. Excuse me, y'all. I have the Kansas City Chiefs winning this division with a 12-5 record. I mean, y'all, the Kansas City Chiefs are going to be better. Now, I know last year they won 11 games, so it's not like I have them winning like 14 or 15 games this year. That's just because, the rest of the AFC is so talented. But, y'all, they're going to be so much better. I mean, look at the weapons that they have offensively now. Rashee Rice, Marquise Hollywood Brown. Just really, really, really love it, y'all. Then having Xavier Worthy you have two guys on the outside in Xavier Worthy and Marquise Hollywood Brown that can really take a top off of defense, y'all. Remember last year, the Chiefs had a very limited passing game. They were not able to throw the ball down the field. You're going to see Patrick Mahomes be able to throw the ball down the field this season. So I think the Chiefs, y'all, far and away the best team in their division. In second place, I have the Los Angeles Chargers finished 8-9. Now, I know some people think the Chargers are going to be a dark horse, playoff team. But y'all think the Chargers are still a year away because their secondary is very weak and their wide receiver core is very inexperienced. Now, Lad McConkey, I think he's going to be a solid player for them. Quentin Johnson, their first round pick from last year, who I was really high on last year, y'all. He's had his struggles. I don't know. Quentin Johnson might be a bust. I hope he can get it turned around. Right now, he's looking like a bust. Josh Palmer, I do like Josh Palmer, but he's more of like a third wide receiver. He's not a one or two. And then DJ Chark, yeah, who really cares about DJ Chark at this point in his career? So, the receiver core, again, is inexperienced, y'all. Not a lot of talent. Then the secondary, I just really don't love. I mean, they have Christian Fulton starting at corner for them, y'all. And if that name sounds familiar, it's because Christian Fulton was on my Tennessee Titans last year, and he was one of the worst corners in the NFL. So that's why I don't love it. You have a guy in Christian Fulton starting on the outside for you. I like Asante Samuel Jr. and Derwin James in that secondary, but outside of them, I'm not really in love with any of those guys, y'all. So I think the Chargers, they'll be a frisky team. Like, they're definitely going to be, hard-nosed, hardcore, because we know Jim Harbaugh, he loves to run the ball. He loves his teams to be very physical, y'all. I think they'll be better on the defensive line, even though they didn't really improve it during the offseason. But I just think because of Jim Harbaugh, he'll get the most out of those guys on the defensive line. But I just don't think the Chargers are there yet. I think, again, next year, y'all, this is going to be the year. Even though I love Justin Herbert, I think talent-wise, he's a top 5 quarterback in the league. But I just don't love the talent around him. All right, y'all. Next up in third place, I have the Las Vegas Raiders finishing 7-10. And y'all, the Raiders, it's just tough for me because I really like their head coach, Antonio Pierce. I like everything that he stands for, kind of the toughness, the grittiness, the swagger that he brings to the table. I love their wide receiver core, y'all, with Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, Michael Mayer, and Brock Bowers at tight end. I think Zamir White is going to have a really good year for them now that he's going to be that lead running back after Josh Jacobs departed to Green Bay. And I really like that defense, y'all, particularly the defensive line. They got Malcolm Kuntz. They brought in Christian Wilkins, y'all, who's one of the best defensive tackles in the NFL. And obviously, they have that man, Mad Max Crosby, at the edge rusher spot, y'all, who I feel like Max Crosby, and I know this is going to sound crazy to say, he might be the most underrated pass rusher in the NFL. I feel like we just don't talk about him enough, but that dude is a freaking monster, y'all. But again, it's the quarterback situation that I don't love. It's kind of like with the Steelers. I don't love it, y'all. I mean, Gardner Minshew, listen, I'm actually a Gardner Minshew fan. I think he's a solid player. But when you're in a conference, y'all, that has so many great quarterbacks, that has so many great teams, man, you got to be like a difference maker. I don't think he's going to be a difference maker. And then Aiden O'Connell, y'all, I just don't think Aiden O'Connell's particularly good. Now, maybe he proves me wrong. If I were them, I probably would have started Aiden O'Connell just because he is a young guy. At this point, we know what Gardner Minshew is. But we don't know what Aiden O'Connell is like. Maybe he surprises, all of us, myself included, and he ends up being like a serviceable quarterback. I don't see it, but I probably would have started him. But they're going to start Gardner Minshew, y'all. And again, 7-10 is not a bad record. Like, you're not a bad team, but you're not particularly good. So I think the Raiders, y'all, right now they're kind of stuck in no man's land because they really don't have a way of going about acquiring a quarterback unless, y'all, and I know this is kind of early to be bringing this up, but unless next year in free agency they are able to sign Dak Prescott. But if not, y'all, I just think the Raiders, until they get that quarterback situation figured out, they're just going to be like a 6-win, 7-win kind of team. And then in last place, y'all, have the Denver Broncos coming in at 5-12. And for Broncos fans, I don't think y'all, I should say, are going to be too upset at me about this record, because I think most of y'all know this year is not about winning games. It's about what you saying you have in your rookie quarterback, Bo Nix, y'all. And I think Bo Nix is going to actually have a pretty solid season, even though I don't really love the wide receivers for the Denver Broncos. Cortland Sutton, I think he's pretty solid. Josh Reynolds, he's okay. Marvin Mims, I want to see more from him. I thought he was going to have a better preseason than what he did, but I want to see more from Marvin Mims because he's really dynamic and explosive with the football in his hands. And then Troy Franklin, y'all. Troy Franklin kind of struggled, kind of like Marvin Mims. He kind of struggled throughout the preseason, but I was really high on Troy Franklin coming out of Oregon during this past year's draft. So I think the Broncos, they have a decent group of weapons, and I think because of that, Bo Nix should be able to be solid. Defensively, y'all, obviously, we know The man on defense is Patrick Surtain. They just signed him today to a 4-year, $96 million contract extension. So shout out to Patrick Surtain because he's well deserving of that deal. But yeah, y'all, I just think the Broncos, I mean, they'll win 5 games. And the only reason we'll talk about them is really because of Bo Nix and Patrick Surtain. And last but not least, y'all, in the AFC, we have what is going to be a very competitive division in the AFC East, y'all. And I have the Miami Dolphins win this division, going 11-6. And y'all, here's the thing: I know the Miami Dolphins last year, all of their 11 wins came against non-playoff teams, and 5 of their 6 losses, y'all, came against playoff teams, right? So that shows you that what they're a pretty fraudulent team, right? They're front runners. They can only beat bad teams. Not they cannot beat really good teams. But y'all, I mean, at the end of the day, you look at all that speed, all that explosiveness that they have on offense, man, with Tyreek Hill, y'all, and Jalen Waddle. And now they drafted Jalen Wright and Devin the Chain and Raheem Mostert as a three-headed monster in the backfield. And you got 2 of y'all just throwing that football all over the field. I mean, at the end of the day, the Miami Dolphins are still going to put up a lot of points, y'all. Defensively, that's where we got to see how they're going to look because, last year they really had their struggles. But Jalen Ramsey, he's still one of the best corners in the league. They drafted Chop Robinson. I'm going to be very eager to see how he develops as the year goes on because I don't think he's going to be, great to start the year. But I think by the end of the year, Chop Robinson's going to be looking like a pretty dominant edge rusher. Losing Christian Wilkins, y'all, and their defensive line really hurt, but they did bring in Calais Campbell. So I think the Dolphins on defense will probably be solid. Offensively, y'all, they'll be really good. But I just don't think the Miami Dolphins are a true contender. But I do have them winning the AFCs because again, y'all, their offense is super dynamic, and there will be enough to win them some games, particularly early on. All right, y'all. Next up in second place, I have the New York Jets finishing with a record of 10-7. And y'all, I'm kind of nervous about this prediction. Excuse me, I'm not going to lie because they have a lot of dudes on their team, y'all, that are injury prone, right? Mike Williams, Tyron Smith, and then we know last year, I know Aaron Rodgers is injury prone, but last year he got injured, y'all. And let's be honest, Aaron Rodgers is going to be 41 in December. We don't know if he's going to be the same guy. But the Jets still found a way to win 7 games, y'all. And if Aaron Rodgers can at least stay healthy for 15 games, the Jets should win 10 games, right? Because again, they won 7 games the last 2 years with horrible quarterback play. So Aaron Rodgers, he's definitely better than Zach Wilson, right? So they should be able to win 3 more games. But again, y'all, I really don't trust this team when it comes to their health because the guys that they're relying on, either one are injury prone or two getting up there in age, y'all. And again, the 2 guys that are injury prone, Mike Williams and Tyron Smith, and the guy that's getting on up in age is Aaron Rodgers. But if those guys can stay healthy, the Jets with that defense led by Sauce Gardner and Quentin Williams and Quincy Williams, his brother, yeah, they'll be a really good team, y'all. All right, in third place, I have the Bills going 9-8. And I know this is probably a very controversial pick. Because some people are gonna say, well, Zay, I mean, the Bills still have Josh Allen, they have James White in the backfield, James Cook in the backfield, they have Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox at tight end, and they have Keon Coleman, who looks like he's gonna be a really good rookie wide receiver. But y'all, I still don't love their wide receiver. I still don't love, their wide receiver core, y'all. And because of that, I just think the Bills are going to be a good team, but not a really, really good team, right? Like, I think the Jets could be a really good team. I think the Jets could even be better than what their record is going to end up being. I think the Bills, though, yeah, this is about where they're going to be, y'all. They're going to be 9-8. They're going to be a good team, but they lost a lot of players, on defense because they had to try to clear up some salary cap. And I just, again, y'all, the receivers, I mean, they're very inexperienced. Like, they're relying on Keon Coleman, who's a rookie. Even though he looks pretty good, he's still a rookie, right? And then outside of him, like Khalil Shakir, he's okay. Curtis Samuel, he's decent. But, yeah, none of those guys, y'all, really scare me. I think the Bills are going to struggle to put up points. And then, y'all, last but certainly not least, we had the New England Patriots coming in at 4th place. And they're going to be 2-15. The only reason, y'all, I'm only going to care about the New England Patriots this year is because of Drake May. All right, that's all I have to say about that. Let's move on, y'all, to the NFC side of things. And let's start with the NFC South. I have the Atlanta Falcons winning this division at 11-6. And y'all, I think when you look at the Atlanta Falcons, I mean, it's time for them to be a playoff team, right? They go into free agency. They signed Kirk Cousins, give him a massive 4-year, $180 million deal.
They also signed Darnell Mooney, former wide receiver for the Chicago Bears, y'all, to a 3-year, $39 million deal to pair with Drake London. You have Kyle Pitts, you have Bijan Robinson, you have Tyler Algier. And then on that defense, y'all, they traded for Matthew Judon. They signed Justin Simmons. They also still have, AJ Terrell and Jesse Bates. I mean, this is a team that is built to win now. I think the Falcons are going to do that. Y'all really love Raheem Morris as a coach, particularly. I love his personality, the way he's able to really interact with his players. I think he's a very player-friendly coach, y'all, and he's one of the best defensive-minded coaches in the NFL. So I think, even though I still kind of have concerns about the Falcons' pass rush, I think it's going to be better than what a lot of us think it's going to be, just because Raheem Morris is such a great defensive-minded head coach, y'all. So I had the Falcons again winning the NFC South 11-6. Next up, y'all, in second place, after the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, finishing 9-8, and this is literally the exact same record that they had last season, y'all. And I just think when you look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I like the draft that they had, right? They drafted Bucky Irvin, they drafted Jalen McMillan, and they also drafted Graham Barden. So I love the draft that they had. But y'all, their secondary is probably going to be one of the worst in the NFL, because they traded away Carlton Davis. And although Carlton Davis is not, a superstar lockdown, shutdown corner, he's still a good player. And now all they have in that cornerback room is Jamel Dean and Zion McCullum, who's a young, inexperienced guy. So I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will be a sneaky team. But I don't think, y'all, they're gonna have as much hype around them as they did last year. Because remember, they started out the season 2-0, kind of had a lot of hype. Then the hype kind of died down. But then at the end of the season, they got hot and the hype built back up. I just don't see that happening again this year, because the rest of the NFC is a whole lot better. So I think if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, y'all, like last year, they had a stretch where they went on a 2-3 game losing streak. I think if that happens this year, the season's gonna be over with. I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but I'm telling you, if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers go on a 2 or 3 game losing streak, this season is over with, because this NFC is really improved. The NFC is a lot better than it was last year. So the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, y'all, they have to get off to a hot start, because if they don't, I think it's gonna be over. But I think, again, they'll be where they were last year, 9-8. Third place, y'all, we have the New Orleans Saints coming in at 7-10, and I just don't love the Saints, y'all. I mean, I really don't. I think the Saints could be even worse than this. Like, honestly, I could see them winning 5 games. I really could, because I just think the New Orleans Saints, y'all, they are in no man's land. Like, their roster is not bad enough to be one of the worst teams in the NFL, but it's not good enough to really be a playoff team. So they're stuck, what, y'all, in purgatory. And that is the worst place to be in professional sports. Either you're going to be really bad or you're going to be really good competing for a Super Bowl. And right now, the Saints, y'all, they're in the middle. They got a lot of aging players on their team. This is a team they really, really, really need to tank. Like, seriously. I know Saints fans probably wouldn't want to hear that, but y'all, if y'all were to think about this, Saints fans, if y'all were to tank, that would really be very beneficial for y'all. So what, you can add a young superstar quarterback or wide receiver. I know some of Saints fans believe in Spencer Rattler, but you can add potentially a guy like Luther Burden in the draft next year. Add a guy edge rusher like James Pierce Jr. out of Tennessee. Like, that can really help jumpstart this team moving forward, because right now it's just really hard to get excited about the New Orleans Saints, y'all. And then coming in, I had the Panthers going 5-12. I do think the Panthers are going to be a little bit better. I mean, Dave Canales, I think he's a better coach right now than Frank Reich was, y'all. And then I also think, them drafting Xavier Legette and Deontay Johnson, I think they're going to really help Bryce Young out. And then they also brought in Robert Hunt and Damon Lewis at left and right guard, respectively. So, yeah, I think the Panthers will be a little bit better. Again, they're not anywhere close to, competing yet, but they'll definitely be a much better team than what they were last year. All right, y'all, I'm going to try to speed this up a little bit. Next up, we got the NFC North. So I have the Detroit Lions winning this division at 12-5. Y'all, I think the Lions are the best team in the NFC right now. I just think, their roster is stacked from top to bottom. Y'all, really love their GM Brad Holmes did during the draft, man. Drafting Terrion Arnold, drafting Ennis Rakestraw Jr., man. Just continue to add players to their secondary. That was a big weakness for them last year, right? It was their secondary, and he added 2 new players, y'all, through the draft. And then he also traded for Carlton Davis. I just talked about Carlton Davis a few minutes ago. So I love what the Lions have done, man. Aiden Hutchinson, Jared Goff, Amon-Ra St. Brown, that defensive line, y'all, now that has Aleem McNeil and DJ Reader, because they signed DJ Reader. And then that offensive line is just stacked with talent. Again, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, y'all, David Montgomery, and Jahmyr Gibbs are running back. I just really love the Detroit Lions. I have them winning this division at 12-5. Next up, y'all, we have the Green Bay Packers at 11-6. And we know what the Packers did at the end of last year, man. They made a surprise run to the playoffs, y'all. They probably should have made it to the NFC Championship game. Let's be honest, they should have beat the San Francisco 49ers in the divisional round. But I think the Packers, y'all, this is a team that's ready to compete, that's ready to take that next step, led by Jordan Love. I love their wide receivers they have, particularly Dontavian Wicks, y'all. I think Dontavian Wicks is probably the NFL's best kept secret at wide receiver. I think more people need to talk about this young man because I could see him having like 1,300 yards this year. Man, Dontavian Wicks is going to be a very good wide receiver in this league. And then that defense, y'all, they have a new defensive coordinator, Jeff Haley. I think he's going to bring out the best of that defense. Remember, this is a defense that has like 7 first-round picks on it. So it's about time for that Packers defense to really live up to their draft status. I think they're going to be able to do that this year. All right, y'all, next up I have the Chicago Bears coming in at 9-8. And when I look at the Chicago Bears, I think they're a year away, y'all. Like, they're definitely much better than where they were last year, but I still think the Chicago Bears are a year away, y'all, from really being a true Super Bowl contender. And because of that, I don't think they're gonna be a Super Bowl contender just yet. I know some people do think they're a Super Bowl contender. I'm like, yeah, I don't think just yet because at the end of the day, y'all, Caleb Williams, he's still a rookie, right? He's still a rookie, and we have to see if this defense is really going to be good. Because remember last year, the defense for the Bears was really bad to begin the season, but then once they traded for Montez Sweat at the end of the season, their defense really, really picked it up. But was that fool's gold because they weren't really playing against, high octane explosive offenses, or is that something that could carry over to this year? So y'all, that has, that's yet to be determined. But again, the Bears, much better team. I just don't think it's y'all's year this year. All right, y'all, let's move on to the NFC West. And I know this is what's really going to surprise a lot of y'all because I have the Seattle Seahawks winning this division at 11-6. Y'all, I really love the Seattle Seahawks. I really do. I love their new head coach, Mike McDonald. I think he's the best defensive mind in the NFL. I love their new offensive coordinator, Ryan Grubb, y'all. And if that name, Ryan Grubb, sounds familiar to y'all, it's because last season he was the offensive coordinator for the Washington Huskies, man, when they had Michael Penix Jr. and Ron Medunze and Jalen McMillan and Jalen Polk and Dylan Johnson just running up and down the field on everybody, throwing all over the field. And I think, y'all, when you look at the Seattle Seahawks, man, I mean, this is a team there. 3 wide receivers deep, man, led by DK Metcalf, Jackson Smith-Njigba. Last year, y'all, there were times where their former offensive coordinator, Shane Waldron, he was only giving the ball like 2 or 3 times all game. I think Ryan Grubb, he's going to be feeding Jackson Smith-Njigba. So you have him again, DK, Jackson Smith-Njigba, Tyler Lockett at wide receiver. That's insane. Y'all, tight end, they got Noah Fant, really solid tight end, man. And running back, you got Kenneth Walker. I think Kenneth Walker's a top 10 running back in the NFL. Zach Charbonnet, he's a really good number 2 running back. And then that defense, y'all, I mean, that defensive line is just filled with talent. They are just super, super, super deep, man. They added, Byron Murphy II during the draft, y'all. They bring back Jaron Reed and Leonard Williams and Draymond Jones and Mike Morris and Cameron Young, y'all, and Uchenna Nwosu. I mean, that defensive line is deep. And I really love that because they're going to be able to use that to their advantage. They're going to be able to, rotate guys in and out, keep guys fresh. So I really love the Seattle Seahawks, y'all. I didn't even talk about the secondary led by Devin Witherspoon, who's the best rookie corner last year. Tariq Woolen, y'all, who's, the 6'4" beast that he is, has all that speed at cornerback, can really, be physical and match over any wide receiver in the NFL. Julian Love, he was really great last year, exploded onto the scene, made the Pro Bowl last season. So I really, really love the Seattle Seahawks team, y'all. And I think because they have a new coaching staff, they have a new way of doing things, it is going to lead to the Seattle Seahawks probably being the most slept on team in the NFL because a lot of people are like, well, last year the Seahawks won 9 games. Y'all think about that, though. They won 9 games, and no respect to Pete Carroll, but y'all, Pete Carroll, his schemes, his play calling was outdated. Now they have fresh, innovative play calling, y'all, new ideas, new way of doing business. I think this Seattle Seahawks team is going to be amazing. So I have them winning this division, y'all. Coming in second place, though, I have the San Francisco 49ers. Y'all, the San Francisco 49ers are still going to be a very good team. Finally, they were able to, get Brandon Ayuk and Trent Williams contracts resolved. But I do have the Seattle Seahawks finishing, y'all, with a little bit better record in conference play. And that's why I have the Seahawks, even though them and the 49ers have the same record. That's why I have the Seattle Seahawks winning that division, y'all. Coming in third place, out of Los Angeles Rams at 9-8. And I know a lot of y'all are gonna be surprised by this because you probably expected this is why I had the Seattle Seahawks. But y'all, I like the Seahawks better than the Rams because my problem with the Rams is they're relying on a lot of young guys on that defense. Now they no longer have Aaron Donald, right? Who's one of the greatest defensive players in NFL history, probably the greatest defensive tackle in NFL history. You no longer have him. And then last week, y'all, they traded away their new captain on defense, Ernest Jones, to my Tennessee Titans. So I think the Rams, y'all, will have to really to be competitive. I think they're gonna have to be in shootouts, and I don't love that, right? Because at some point you're gonna have to win some games, kind of ugly. You're gonna have to lean on your defense, y'all. But again, because their defense, they have so many young guys. I just don't love when the defense, really any side of the ball. I don't love when a team is relying on young players to try to help them, go back to the playoffs. And the Rams are probably trying to compete for the Super Bowl. I just don't love it, y'all. So I don't think the Rams are going to, win 10 games like they did last year. Remember, y'all, the Rams were 3-6 through 9 games last year. And then they made that miracle run to the playoffs. And then coming in at fourth place, y'all have the Arizona Cardinals finishing 7-10. I like the Cardinals. It's just not their year this year, right? Not their year. But I really like this team, y'all, because I think Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr., that's going to be one of the best quarterback wide receiver duos in the NFL. I love their tight end, Trey McBride. I love their running back that they drafted out of Florida State, Trey Benson, y'all. But they, again, kind of like the Rams, relying on a lot of young guys defensively. But I'm telling y'all, next year, man, next season, the Arizona Cardinals, I really think they're going to be a true threat, y'all, to make some serious noise in the NFC because they're coming. You can already see, even like last season, once Kyler Murray returned, their offense was better. Remember, they had that big upset win on the road against the Philadelphia Eagles. Yeah, I like what I'm seeing from the Arizona Cardinals again. It's just not their year. The NFC is too tough, but I do think, y'all, they're going to be a kind of a frisky team. You're not going to play the Arizona Cardinals because if you think, oh, yeah, we're going to just be able to beat the Cardinals. No, 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 no. They're going to upset some teams. They're going to surprise some teams. And last but not least, y'all, let's move into the NFC East. And I have the Philadelphia Eagles win this division with a record of 12-5. Now, as y'all know, I'm not the biggest Eagles fan, but I have to admit, I really, really, really like their roster. Okay, they had my man A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, a wide receiver. They brought in Saquon Barkley, y'all, and oh my goodness, I mean, Saquon is going to eat on this offense because think about the numbers that he put up with the Giants, y'all, and he had a horrible offensive line, and he was facing, 8-man boxes basically every single play. Well, now with the Philadelphia Eagles, because they have a very good offensive line, and also, y'all, because they have legitimate weapons on the outside, unlike the New York Giants had, teams will not be able to load up the box on Saquon Barkley. So I really love this Eagles team, y'all. And then defensively, they got my man Quinyon Mitchell, who was my number one corner from this past year's draft class. Cooper DeJean, who is my number 4 corner in this past year's draft class. I mean, I just really love what the Eagles have done. They still got Darius Slay, man, Bryce Huff, who they brought in from the New York Jets, Jalen Carter, y'all, and Jordan Davis, the two man-eating defensive tackles that they have, and then bringing back Chauncey Gardner-Johnson to really lead that secondary. I love the Philadelphia Eagles have on their roster, y'all, and I think they're going to prove once again that they are a contender in the NFC. All right, y'all, coming in second place, I have the Cowboys finishing 10-7, and y'all, I don't think the Cowboys are going to win 12 games. We know the last 3 years the Dallas Cowboys have won 12 games. Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen this year because the Dallas Cowboys, y'all, got worse. They did not improve. The rest of the NFC kind of got better, right? Especially the teams in the NFC that I think are going to be contending. They got better, y'all. The Dallas Cowboys did not get better. And then to make matters worse, Deron Bland, their all pro corner, he's gonna be out 6 to 8 weeks. So now you're talking about without him, they still don't have a very good number 2 wide receiver next to CD Lamb, y'all. Their offensive line is very young. They're gonna be starting a rookie left tackle, Tyler Guide. Even though I think Tyler Guide is gonna be a good player, he's a rookie, y'all. And we know left tackle is one of the hardest positions to play in the NFL. So I just look at the Cowboys. I'm like, yeah, they're gonna be a little bit worse than what they were last year. They're not gonna be a horrible team, obviously, but they're gonna be a little bit worse than what they were last year, y'all. Coming in third place, I have the Washington Commanders. And I like the Commanders, man. I like what Dan Quinn is going to do. That defense, Jaden Daniels is my guy. But yeah, the Washington Commanders, they don't really, scare me. I do think that they will probably upset a team or two because they have a good amount of veterans on their defense, right? Jeremy Chin, they brought in Bobby Wagner, Frankie Louvu. They still have Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne on that defensive line. So I think their defense can carry them to 1 or 2 upset victories. But their offense, man, they have a young offense, y'all, particularly on their offensive line. So I think the Washington Commanders won't be particularly great. And then coming in at fourth place, y'all have the New York Giants. And yeah, New York Giants fans, I feel so bad for y'all because not only do y'all need a quarterback, man, but your secondary stinks. You literally have to re-sign Adoree Jackson just days before the NFL season get ready to start. Okay, and Adoree Jackson, y'all, let's be honest, he's only okay at this point. But that just goes to show you how bad the New York Giants secondary is. So yeah, Giants fans, whoo, man, I really, really do feel bad for y'all because this is gonna be another trying season for y'all. All right, y'all. With that being said, I just gave y'all my record predictions for every single team. Now it's time for me to show y'all my playoff picture, y'all. Let's start out with the AFC. So this is my playoff picture. Y'all I have the Chiefs getting the 1 seed, the Ravens getting the 2 seed, the Texans getting the 3 seed, the Dolphins getting the 4 seed, the Bengals getting the 5 seed, my Tennessee Titans getting the 6 seed, and the New York Jets getting the 7 seed. So yes, y'all, I do have the Cleveland Browns missing the playoffs. Even though I have them winning 10 games, I think the New York Jets are going to have a better conference record than them. And because of that, I have the New York Jets making the playoffs and not the Cleveland Browns. And now, y'all, let's move on to the NFC side of things. And I have the Lions getting the 1 seed, the Eagles getting the 2 seed, the Seahawks. Yes, again, remember I had the Seahawks winning the division. Seahawks getting the 3 seed, Falcons getting the 4 seed, Packers getting the 5 seed. 49ers getting the 5 seed, Packers getting the 6 seed, and the Dallas Cowboys getting the 7 seed. And now, y'all, it's time to give y'all my AFC and NFC championship game. Let's start with the AFC, y'all. Y'all know I'm an AFC guy. Got to start there first. I have the Houston Texans taking on the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC Championship game, y'all. And I have the Kansas City Chiefs winning this game 30-27. I do feel like, y'all, the Houston Texans, yeah, it's time, right? I know some people feel like they're overrated, y'all. Trust me, the Houston Texans are not overrated. CJ Stroud, man, I feel like, y'all, by the end of this season, there are going to be a lot of people saying CJ Stroud is the second best quarterback behind Patrick Mahomes. Now, I still think that title is going to go to Lamar Jackson. But, man, CJ Stroud, y'all, I mean, this dude is so talented. He has one of the best arms I've ever seen, man. He's just so accurate throwing within the pocket. And I just, again, with the way Nick Cassariano, their GM, the way he went and added Stephon Diggs, Joe Mixon, Danielle Hunter, Azeez Al-Shire, and Nico Autry to an already young and upcoming team. Yeah, I think the Houston Texans are going to make it to the AFC Championship game. But, y'all, I had the Kansas City Chiefs win this game, y'all, because, again, you cannot bet against Patrick Mahomes, man. He's the best quarterback right now, y'all. I think I think Patrick Mahomes might already be the greatest quarterback in NFL history. Talent-wise, he's definitely the best. I know some people still going to say Tom Brady because of all Super Bowl things, but, y'all, let's be honest. Talent-wise, Pat Mahomes is the best, and I cannot go against him. And, again, as I mentioned earlier, y'all, I mean, just think about the way they're going to be able to get back to playing Kansas City Chiefs style of offense, right? Last year is more dinking and dunking. Now they can really open that field back up because of having Hollywood Brown and having Xavier Worthy. So I have the Kansas City Chiefs going back to the Super Bowl, y'all. And then for the NFC, and this is really going to shock y'all because not only do I have the Seattle Seahawks winning the NFC West, y'all, but I had them advancing all the way, yes, all the way to the NFC Championship game to take on the Detroit Lions. But I think, y'all, the Detroit Lions will win this game 31-27. Last year, the Detroit Lions, y'all, they literally were super, super close to making it to the Super Bowl. I think this year they're going to bust open that door, get to the Super Bowl again, y'all. I love the Detroit Lions. I think they're the best team in the NFC. This will be an amazing game if this happens because they will be going against a team that basically no one would have, predicted this, y'all. But again, I really love the Seattle Seahawks, and I'm telling y'all, that team is not to be played with. You look at their skill positions, the wide receivers, the corners they have, and I think Geno's gonna have a really great year, y'all. Yes, I have the Seattle Seahawks making it to the NFC Championship game, but again, y'all, they will fall to the Detroit Lions, y'all. And with that being said, it is time to give y'all my Super Bowl winner. So drum roll, please. Yes, y'all. My Super Bowl winner is the Kansas City Chiefs. I have the Kansas City Chiefs defeating the Detroit Lions 35-32, y'all, in a game that I feel like is going to be one of the best Super Bowls of this generation. Man, I mean, this would be a great game. The Detroit Lions, y'all, I mean, this is a team that has been horrible for decades. And then finally last year, they went back to their or got back to their winning ways, y'all, of yesteryear. And I think this year they really going to be major winners. But I do have them coming up short, y'all, in the Super Bowl. And again, you just cannot bet against the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, y'all. So I do have the Kansas City Chiefs winning the Super Bowl and three-peating. All right, y'all. Now it's time to get into my award predictions. And first off, let's start with Offensive Player of the Year. And I have my man Bijan Robinson winning this award, y'all. I really believe Bijan Robinson is going to solidify himself as a top 3 running back in the league. I think right now, y'all, the best running backs would still be Christian McCaffrey and Derrick Henry. But I think he's gonna be right behind those guys, y'all. Literally, like, I think he is going to solidify himself as a top 3 running back. I think, y'all, because he's going to be getting the ball a whole lot more than he did last year under Arthur Smith. I think Bijan Robinson can easily run for like 1,500 yards, like 15, 16 touchdowns, y'all. And I just think this dude's going to have an incredible season, man. I mean, he has an elite combination of size, strength, speed, athleticism, his catching ability, y'all. The way he's able to stop on the dime and make a guy miss, I'm telling you, Bijan Robinson is going to have a monster year. And I have him winning Offensive Player of the Year, y'all. And then my Defensive Player of the Year is that man, Mad Max Crosby, y'all. I have him winning Defensive Player of the Year. And I just think it's his year, right? The last couple of years, you could have said that he should have won it. Some people say he got snubbed, but I think this is the year, y'all. He's really going to eat. I mean, seriously, because now he has Christian Wilkins, y'all. Christian Wilkins commands double team. So really, Max Crosby is probably going to be, one-on-one going against a lot of these tackles this year, because now he finally has another guy on that defensive line that's going to command attention. So, y'all, I think Max Crosby is going to have 17 sacks this year. And I just think that is going to lead to him winning his first Defensive Player of the Year award again. I think Max Crosby is probably the most underrated edge rusher, especially when you consider that he's a superstar, but not a lot of people talk about him. We talk about TJ Watt, we talk about Myles Garrett, we talk about Nick Bosa, and those guys are great. But, y'all, Max Crosby is right up there with those guys, and I have him winning Defensive Player of the Year. All right, y'all, next up, my excuse me, y'all, I've been talking a lot. My my coach of the year, y'all. I think this is not gonna be a surprise to y'all. It's that man, Mike McDonald. I mean, I had the Seattle Seahawks not only winning the NFC West, but I also had them going to the NFC Championship game. So I think he is going to definitely be the coach of the year, y'all. Again, I just think he's the best defensive mind in the NFL, man. I think the schemes that he runs, y'all, the way he's going to be able to really disguise coverages, disguise blitzes, something that the Seattle Seahawks have never done. They never did during the Pete Carroll era. So I think you're going to just see the Seattle Seahawks play a totally different brand of football. And I just really love what Mike McDonald's about. So I have him winning Coach of the Year, y'all. All right, next up, y'all, my y'all. My offensive rookie of the year, I have Caleb Williams winning this. I think this is pretty easy. I almost picked Marvin Harrison Jr., y'all, but I started thinking about it. Was that, let's be honest, wide receivers don't really win offensive rookie of the year awards. It's really dominated by the quarterbacks. So I have a quarterback win. I think Caleb Williams, y'all, he's going to throw for over 4,000 yards. I think I have him throwing for like 27 or 28 touchdowns as well. So, yeah, I have him winning Offensive Rookie of the Year. Again, I mean, you look at all the playmakers that Chicago has: Keenan Allen, Rome Odunze, DJ Moore, Cole Kmet, Gerald Everett, running back, y'all, Roshan Johnson, and DeAndre Swift. So I just really love what this team has, and I have them winning. Excuse me, I have Caleb Williams, winning. Excuse me, y'all. I've been talking for so long. I have Caleb Williams winning Offensive Rookie of the Year. And then Defensive Rookie of the Year. And this, again, probably going to shock y'all. I have Quinyon Mitchell winning Defensive Rookie of the Year. And I know it's very hard, extremely hard, for a cornerback to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. But, y'all, I'm a big fan of Quinyon Mitchell. Like I said earlier, he was my number 1 corner coming out of this draft. And I just think Quinyon Mitchell is probably going to be top 3 in passes defender. I mean, this dude's a ball hawk, y'all. Like, he is a ball hawk. So I think for Quinyon Mitchell, if he can at least get like two interceptions and have like 17, 18 passes defended, I think it should be enough for him to win, Defensive Rookie of the Year. Because you look at Sauce Gardner, when he won it a couple years ago, Sauce, y'all, he only had 2 interceptions, but he had 20 passes defended, and he only gave up 1 touchdown. So if Quinyon Mitchell has 2 picks, 17, 18 passes defended, and only gives up maybe 1 or 2 touchdowns, I think he's going to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. I'm telling you, I'm a huge fan of this young man. I think he's going to be a top 5 corner in the league one day. Like, seriously, I know that is high praise, high expectations, but I think he is that good, y'all. And then, y'all, let's get into my comeback player of the year, which this might be a little bit controversial, but I have Aaron Rodgers winning comeback player of the year. Now, I think the 2 finalists for this award would be Aaron Rodgers and Joe Burrow. But, y'all, the reason I gave it to Aaron Rodgers is because, think about it, the man only played 4 snaps last year, right? So all he really has to do is, like, I mean, literally, Aaron Rodgers could play 10 games, and I still think he would get this award, right? But because I expect him to at least play 15 games and be, still look like Aaron, the old Aaron Rodgers. Whereas Joe Burrow played 10 games last year, right? So Joe Burrow definitely played way more games than Aaron Rodgers did. So I think Aaron Rodgers will win this award, y'all. Again, I have him leading the Jets to the playoffs. So I think he'll win comeback player of the year. And then last but certainly not least, y'all, we have my MVP, and it is my boy, the man I've already talked about a couple of times on here, y'all. I have CJ Stroud winning MVP, man. I'm just a huge CJ Stroud fan. And I just think, y'all, with the weapons that he has at his disposal, I mean, my goodness, CJ Stroud last year, he threw for like 273 yards per game. Right now, you add Stephon Diggs, Tank Dell's back healthy, Nico Collins, y'all, Dalton Schultz, the tight end, and a really good defense. I just think CJ Stroud's going to win MVP. Now, I don't have the Texans having the best record, in the AFC. I have that going to the Kansas City Chiefs. But, y'all, they're only going to be a game behind the Kansas City Chiefs. It's not like the Chiefs are going to win 14 games and the Texans are only going to win 9 or 10 games. No, I think the Texans win 11 games and the Chiefs win 12 games. So even though they're going to be a game apart, I don't think that should sway the voters in any way of not wanting to vote for CJ Stroud. I think he's going to have the best year, y'all. So I have CJ Stroud win the MVP award. And I think, y'all, that this year in the NFL, this is going to be one of the best NFL seasons. I feel like maybe in 5 years or so, because this season, y'all, is very, very competitive. I mean, there's a lot of good teams, a lot of good quarterbacks, and I just don't think you're going to see a team, win like 14 or 15 games. I know some people feel like the Kansas City Chiefs can do that. I just don't think so, y'all, because, man, the NFL is just so talented right now. I mean, there's not a lot of bad teams in the league. Like, I think the really bad teams right now would be the Patriots, the Giants, and then maybe the Panthers. Even though I don't think the Panthers are going to be, I don't think the Panthers are going to be really bad. I think they'll be like bad, but I don't think they'll be really bad. But other than that, y'all, they're just a lot of like, above average to really good teams in the NFL. So I cannot wait for this season to start on tomorrow, y'all, when we have the Kansas City Chiefs playing the Baltimore Ravens, y'all. And then obviously on Sunday, that's when all the games will be occurring and the NFL will really be back in action, y'all. So there y'all have it, man. That was my 2024 NFL season predictions, man. If y'all enjoyed it, say yeah, Zay. Yeah, sorry, y'all. That was kind of long winded, man. I went on for nearly 53 minutes. Wow, that's a long time. I haven't been live this long in a while, y'all. Get a couple of these comments. Said late Tamika saying 100. Yeah, Zay. Hey, yeah, Zay. Say it one more time. Yeah, Zay. Yeah, just want to say appreciate y'all for all y'all support, man. For the people on Twitch, for the people on YouTube, and for the people that view on Twitter, man. I just appreciate y'all. I love y'all. And on that note, y'all, this was another episode of ZayMoolah Sports Podcast. Remember, y'all, laughter is good medicine. So what? Make sure you get that daily dose. Y'all know I'm gonna end it, man. I love y'all. God bless. Peace.